Nuzlocks are, in my opinion, the best way to play a Pokemon game with the perfect balance between the fun we've always loved and adding a bit of challenge. And over the last few years, they've gotten more and more intense, creative, and challenging. So I wanted to take us back on just an old school classic Nuzlocke to help us remember why we fell in love with the idea in the first place. And I didn't want to play Hoenn on easy mode, so I did choose Torchic instead of Mudkip as our starter. I'm sure that won't come back to bite me. And so our adventure begins. The first rival battle of course goes fine, and then our first few encounters weren't very exciting. We get Zigzagoon on Route 101, a Poochyena on 103, and a Wurmple on 102. But our next two are great. This is a new encounter, and we got the Taillow. We got the Taillow. Alright, if this has guts, rule number 1 of this run, do not let this Taillow die. Please don't be foreshadowing. Give me a Shroomish or a Slackoth. We got a Shroomish, baby! We got a Shroomish. We're getting all of my favorites right now. Then over past Rustboro, I use the old repel trick to get all the way through the grass over to the cave to guarantee a Whismur encounter. But more importantly, this ensures that we don't get it in the grass, which kind of pays off. We get an Incada out of it at least. With our first set of encounters in the books, we're free to challenge the first gym leader, Roxanne. Now thanks to Spalding the Shroomish, this shouldn't be too difficult. Spalding of course makes short work of the two Geodudes with a few absorbs, and he should be able to handle the nose pass with a bit of luck. I don't know if I should lead off with Stun Spore or Leech Seed. Yeah. Ooh, it used Harden. That's perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Nose Pass. Thank you. Please land. Yes, we landed the Stun Spore. Okay. Okay. Now, if we can land the Leech Seed, we win this fight. Yeah, baby. We got it. The RNG gods have blessed us so early in this run, let's hope to stay in their favor. Spalding does eventually win the War of Attrition, taking out Nose Pass and earning our first gym badge. So after heading back to the cave to free Pico, and getting a job apparently, we're free to head south and challenge May for our second rival fight, which gets very scary. For the fact that she has a Torkoal, oh my god, it's setting up on us. Oh no. We have to risk... oh my god, it's setting up on us. Okay, we have to go special attacks here. Oh my god, it's at +3 attack and defense. +4 attack and defense. +5 attack and defense, what is it doing? What an anticlimactic battle. Okay, sure, nothing actually happened, but it could have been really bad, okay? Wait, its only physical attack was Smog? Down in Dewford, we do grab the Old Rod, which allows us to fish up our next two encounters, a Magikarp in Dewford and a Tentacool on Route 106. Oh hey, and our starter evolves into Combuskin, just pretend it has a nickname, okay? And in the cave, we catch a Zubat. What else were you expecting? Before facing Brawly, I decide to enact my master plan. We head back to Petalburg Woods to battle some Wurmples and get Gallagher here poisoned, which, you guessed it, activates its Guts ability and boosts its attack. So I was feeling really good going into this gym. I'm 3 levels below the level cap. And I'm going to show you guys how busted this Pokemon is. Never be cocky in a Nuzlocke? Let's see. Going into the Brawly battle, 3 levels below the level cap with my Guts Taillow. And I'm going to show you guys how stupid this Pokemon is. So you're going to use Gust Facade Swallow only? No, that's not what I'm going to do at all. I'm just showing off how strong even just Guts Taillow is in the early game. Because in my Raid 'em All series, people doubted me. If Taillow dies, drop 3 videos tomorrow, you got it. You know what's crazy too? Is if I don't one-shot Makuhita, Taillow could go down. This was so risky, look, now that I'm thinking about it. If this thing arm thrusts and hits 3-4 times, we lose Taillow. We lose Taillow if this doesn't one-shot. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, maybe I should have listened to chat on that one. Sorry, Gallagher buddy, that one was definitely on me. Thankfully, Combuskin is able to come in and clean up our mess, and we get our second gym badge, but it did not feel good. Moving on though, over in Slateport, we do grab the soft sand before heading north for our next encounter on Route 110. Gulpin? Oh, no. Oh, and we do finally name our starter after a Patreon member like the rest of our Pokemon. Thanks guys, you're the goats. But anyway, we quickly deal with the two Team Aqua Grunts, and after a few evolutions, we head north directly into another rival fight. Delaney the Ninjask gets her first screen time and handles Lombre pretty easily, and thankfully she ditched her cursing Torkoal for a Slugma here, which is of course no match for Adrian the Gyarados even with no water moves. And finally, Spalding easily takes down her Marshtomp, defeating our rival without a hitch. Once we make it to Mauville City and spend countless hours of grinding at the game corner, we're able to buy some incredible TMs. And before heading into the gym, we do level up for a few more evolutions, most notably Spalding the Breloom. But this gym battle might actually be the wildest roller coaster ride of unlucky and piss-poor planning I've ever had. Watson is already one of the hardest gym leaders in Hoenn, but I made it even worse because I thought he led off with a Magnemite. So this Voltorb obviously outspeeds Combustion and gets a huge crit on turn 1. Thankfully our new game corner TMs pay off and Flamethrower one-shots. Then Combustion does manage to outspeed the Electrike and bring it down to 1 Flamethrower as well. But then...
Okay, this should also be a one-shot.
You're faster! How is a Magneton faster?
I'm dead. I just lost my starter.
Not our starter. Poor guy was the direct cost of our lack of planning. So then, Spalding comes in and does big damage with Mach Punch, gets paralyzed, and confused, which gives us a 37% chance to even get an attack off. Though thankfully, after 2 turns, Breloom does break through and takes out the Magneton, but now with how weak it is, we can't stay in against Manectric. So Colin comes in and puts up a valiant effort, but sadly is a necessary sacrifice to get David the Linoon on the field.
I believe in you, Linoon. I'm sorry I put you in the bottom 5. Okay. He has a potion, I'm screwed. Nice crit, David. Nice crit. Another potion. Okay, come on. You can eat this. You can eat this. You can eat 2 of them. You can't eat 2 of them. You're paralyzed. Oh, here we go. You definitely, yeah, you might eat 3, but is it worth risking Linoon? I mean, Linoon is clutch. And you get double para'd, bro. You've gotta be kidding me. Do I stay in? No, that did exactly 30 damage last turn. I think that was a high roll. I have to risk it. I have to risk the high roll here. Paralyzed. You gotta be kidding me. Buddy gets paralyzed thrice in a row, and therefore, of course, goes down. Then Berg the Dustox and Manectric trade shockwaves and psychics until... This is what happens when you skip out on Terry Berries. You're right, bro. Dustox are right. Berg survives on 1 HP, takes down the Manectric, and clutches up, earning our 3rd gym badge. But this one came at a high cost, including our starter. Our RIP box has more members than we have badges, but we grab some replacements and push on. Up on Route 11, we do find and catch ourselves a Numel, which is fantastic. So after dredging our way through the ash-stricken landscape of Route 113, we grab the Dig TM and then head south towards Meteor Falls, where we do catch another nice Pokemon for our team, a Lotad. And in Meteor Falls, after we encounter about 1,000,001 Zubats, we finally get our actual encounter, a Solrock, which is actually really interesting and I never get to use it, so that's cool. Then up on Mount Chimney, we have our first face-off with the leader of Team Magma, Maxie. Spalding leads it off, so it does get intimidated by Mightyena, but thankfully, after spending its potion, the Mightyena does eventually go down to Mach Punch, so when Camerupt comes in, we go into Gyarados for the Intimidate, and even though we still don't have a water move, Secret Power and Dragon Rage are more than enough to bring it down. Which is followed by Zubat that obviously doesn't stand a chance, so that was very anticlimactic for a volcano-top battle with a crime lord, but oh well. On the way down the mountain, we do grab another pretty exciting encounter, a Spoink, which once again, I've never actually used before, but it's shockingly good. And I did accidentally name this thing Patreon while looking at Patreon members to name it after, which is pretty funny. But all jokes aside, our next gym battle against Flannery can be very dangerous. And if the Watson fight taught us anything, it's that we need to be smart and not go willy-nilly into these gyms. So after some time to prep, we decide to lead off with Marcel the Tentacool, and thankfully he one-shots the Numel with a Bubble Beam. Yet when Slugma comes out, Marcel somehow lets this little slug live, and so it sets up the sun. In turn, our best move from here is to try to stall out the sun so we don't dry up our water types, and Wallace is the man for the job. We stall by using Harden, which doesn't really
matter since Slugma is a special attacker, but after we do finally stall out the sun, we can take it down with a rock throw. So now we're in a much better position when Camerupt comes out. Having Levitate on our rock type means that it really can't touch us. Hilariously, those hardens actually come into handy against the tackles, and we even managed to waste one of Flannery's hyper potions. So after a few more rock throws, she sets up the sun again. But we've danced this dance before, so we stall it out once again. So eventually, after one more rock throw, it survives and sets up the sun again. No, I'm not joking, but eventually we do finally stall it out and switch into Adrian on the last turn of the sun and take down the stupid camel with a secret power. Then Torkoal, her biggest threat by far, is basically a non-factor, and Adrian takes it out with a few dragon rages, so we very carefully have earned our 4th gym badge. Before we head back to Petalburg, we do stop off in the desert and scoop up a Cacnea, so then after a long trek back, we finally arrive at our father's gym. And oh wait, oh no, that's just the gym trainer. Why are you showing a battle against the gym trainer?
A few moments later.
Why? Why? Oh, our poor Spalding, taken out before it had the chance to show off against its best matchup. Oh, that's a big loss. So after losing our 2nd fighting type right before the normal type gym, we have to gather our team full of benchwarmers and prepare for what is a tough one. We lead off with Byler the Myena for Intimidate and start biting for damage. Spinda does Teeter Dance, so we swap into Gyarados for the unnecessary Intimidate cycle, and Secret Power shockingly leaves Spinda in the red. So it does get another Teeter Dance off, and Norman actually wastes a Hyper Potion on my switch, which is nice, so 2 bites later and Spinda is gone. But now his ace, the terrifying Slacking, comes in, and I was banking on counter turn 1, but it was actually Facade, which does massive damage, though Byler does survive and throws out some sand to lower accuracy at least. We obviously can't stay in, so we switch into Berg. Yes, we're really using a Nuzlocke against Slacking. Just trust the process. But it is a long one, so I'm not going to make you sit through this whole stall fest we're about to witness. But eventually, thanks to Protect, Moonlight, and Psychic, Nuzlocke, of all things, actually just 1v1s the Slacking and wins. But the battle isn't over. Berg uses up her last Protect to scout the Slash from Vigoroth, so we hard swap into Adrian for the Intimidate. But after a few Slashes, Secret Powers, and one lucky Para, Adrian does take down the Vigoroth. So now all he has left is one weak little Linoon. What could go wrong? Okay, so I'm actually pretty terrified this thing's gonna belly drum on me, so I'm just gonna go immediately into Overheat. It did belly drum. What's up, Chris? It belly drummed, I called it, and we overheat, and this should get the kill. What a read. Oh my god, it didn't get the kill! Oh no, it has +6 attack. Oh no. Oh no, +6 slash. Oh, we survived. I know. Okay. I didn't need to get as scared as I did. It survived? It survived the confusion. Okay, yes, in hindsight, that overheat and confusion was a horrible decision, though in my defense, I will admit I didn't realize how awful Soul Rock's special attack was, and I was really just scared of the rock throw miss there, but yeah, that was pretty bad. So yet another badge gained with yet another costly loss to our team. We really have to start being careful or this run is not going to survive the Elite Four, which means we need to start buffing up this team. So on our trek back north, we stop off in New Mauville while running errands for Watson, and we get a new fantastic encounter while we're there, Magnemite, which we of course immediately evolve and begin the journey north to Four Tree City. On the way, we do get a few encounters, to include the infamous Dean the Wingle and the extremely rare Kecleon. So after squashing Team Aqua again, we of course get the cast form as well, and our next run-in with May goes pretty easily. Bradley the Golbat handles the Lombre with a few wing attacks, and same goes for Slugma, then Patreon and Adrian team up to take down her Marshtomp. Once we eventually make it to Four Tree City, we prepare our team full of new evolutions and head into the gym. Winona isn't too difficult as a whole, but her Dragon Dancing Altaria can be an absolute run-ender. Magneton, of course obliterates the Swablu, which then baits in her Altaria, which will 100% go for Earthquake here, meaning we can get a clean switch into Golbat. We immediately go for Confuse Ray to try to fend off a Dragon Dance sweep, but Golbat barely does anything, and Altaria snaps out after one turn, which sadly allows it to continue setting up Dragon Dances to +3 attack and speed, spelling the end for poor Bradley. But his sacrifice allows for Adrian to come in and intimidate the bird, meaning its aerial aces are just weak enough to not be a 2-shot on Gyarados, who responds with a strong secret power. Winona heals up, but on the next one we get the Para. She seems to then get greedy going for Dragon Dance, or maybe she's trying to erase the speed deficit, but either way, that Para allows us to overcome the Altaria with only one loss. But this battle isn't over yet. Adrian is thankfully able to handle the Tropius without much of an issue, and when Pelipper comes out, we get the free switch into Phantom the Magneton, who Thunderbolts for the KO here, and Thunderbolts for the KO on Skarmory, defeating Winona and earning our 6th gym badge. Yet once again, we lost another Pokemon, so we need to catch some more replacements for our squad. Thankfully, there are a handful of encounters coming up. We get a Shuppet on the way to Lily Cove, and a Whalmer in Lily Cove, and a Vulpix in Mount Pyre. Oh, and I did skip over the final Rabble fight, but Adrian literally swept her entire team. She's really not even worth the screen time.
Wait, no, not another random trainer battle. I'm not ready for another.
Beard care routine, let's hear it. So, ooh, that was a crit. That's not good. Ugh. We really just lost our Tentacruel to a crit with acid on a Wobbuffet.
God, I hate Wobbuffet so much.
Wobbuffet, the bane of Nuzlockes everywhere, collects its toll from our dear Marcel, despite our careful efforts. So, after obtaining the Magma Emblem atop Mount Pyre, our next mission becomes clear. Take down Team Magma and Aqua. Back over inside Mount Chimney, the immortal Dean then proceeds to sweep through the entirety of Team Magma's base with ease, and fills us with so much confidence that we head into the fight against Maxie underleveled. Because if this run has taught me anything, it's just to wing it and not prepare, right? It'll go fine. Phantom has no issues taking down his Mayana with 2 Thunderbolts, so then when he sends in Camerupt, we predict the obvious ground move and send in Dean, who despite the 4-level deficit, swallows up the Camerupt with a Surf, and then Phantom cleans it up against Crobat. And hey, it actually did go fine. Nice. Over in Team Aqua's hideout, we have a very close call with our potential encounter, but otherwise nothing too interesting happens, and we free our path over to Moss Deep City, where we can get the Super Rod, allowing us to fish up a very well-timed Sharpedo, which of course goes straight onto the team. And next thing you know, it's time for our 7th gym challenge, which is of course a double battle against Tate and Eliza. Double battles can cause quite a few wrinkles and can be unpredictable and dangerous, so we have to be careful. We lead off with a few new faces, Norris and Gallardo. Norris chucks out a Surf, dealing decent damage to Claydol, and then Xatu sets up Calm Mind, and Claydol shockingly outspeeds our Banette and gets off some huge damage with Earthquake, which is a really unfortunate start. Xatu thankfully does go down to Shadow Ball, so then Lunatone comes out, and on the next turn I was expecting Light Screen or Calm Mind from it, so I send off another Surf to take out Claydol, but Lunatone actually outspeeds Banette and takes it down with a Psychic, which loses us our only Ghost type, which is far from ideal in this gym. So we send out Byler, click Surf again for solid spread damage, and then Lunatone sets up the Light Screen. Solrock charges Solar Beam, and Byler taunts the Lunatone since its only attacking move is Psychic and we have 2 Dark types on the field. But not only does Solrock recover with a Citrus Berry, but then they also heal up Lunatone, which I just completely forgot they could do. So now not only does Surf not knock out the Solrock, but Byler does not outspeed, which means Solrock fires off a Solar Beam, claiming our 2nd Pokemon of the battle. These 2 losses were entirely on me. There were for sure paths to avoid them, and now we're in trouble. Not really for this battle, thankfully. Adrian and Byler easily bite their way through and earn our 7th gym badge, but we're losing all of our good Pokemon. Our chances of taking on the league are getting slimmer and slimmer by the badge. And on top of that, we're running out of potential encounters to even add to our roster. We can thankfully grab a Spiel in Shoal Cave before heading out on our maritime adventure that eventually leads us to the underwater hideout of Team Aqua, where we have our final showdown with their leader Archie. But it is a hilariously anticlimactic battle as Phantom just thunderbolts down all 3 of his Pokemon. Oh yeah, and some climactic story stuff happens, but you know, this game is like 25 years old now, so after the legendary Pokemon battle in the middle of a city, we head over to Skypillar to try to find the solution, where we can catch the infamous dragon flying type, Altaria. But once we wake up Rayquaza and end the Titanic dispute, we can get on with our gym challenge. But first, we have to run some errands. We catch a nice little Chinchou underwater, then we grab a Water Stone, the Ice Beam TM, and the Giga Drain TM. And then of course we have to train up our whole new team, which is handpicked specifically to handle Juan. Here we are, our 8th and final gym battle. Phantom the Magneton leads off and of course secures the one-shot on his lead Love Disc, and Juan predictably sends in his Whiscash. So on the obvious ground move, we switch over to Adrian, who gets the Intimidate off and is immune to the Earthquake. Juan does actually read us pretty well here though. While I switch again into Ludicolo, he sets up an Amnesia, boosting Whiscash's special defense, so Ludicolo can't quite get the one-shot with Giga Drain, but Earthquake also doesn't really do much thanks to the Intimidate, and we even waste one of Juan's potions, so after 2 more Giga Drains the Whiscash goes down and we're still looking pretty good. Celio comes in next, so we play it safe and send in a new face, Dakota the Lantern, who thankfully eats a Body Slam pretty well, but barely misses out on the Thunderbolt one-shot, as well as failing to outspeed, so it takes another Body Slam and gets paralyzed, which is super unfortunate here. Celio does go down, and the incoming Crawdaunt really doesn't pose much of an issue at all, so we just keep Dakota in there and make sure to get the one-shot this time. However, when Kingdra comes in, we're in the yellow and paralyzed. Kingdra is of course terrifying due to double team. So what do? Well, on turn 1, I misclick Thunderbolt, of course, which doesn't even matter because it misses anyway. Then after another double team, Lantern gets fully paralyzed, so he gets a third double team up, and then Lantern pulls through and lands the Thunder Wave. So here is our window. This may look crazy, but I switch into Applegate the Cacturn. Kingdra has, 5 double teams up now, and it has the super effective Ice Beam. What is the plan here? Well, honestly, I'm not planning on taking Applegate to the Elite Four, so it's expendable. But it does manage to land Leech Seed on its first try. Talk about clutch. It even survives the first Ice Beam, so screw your double teams, we have Feint Attack for decent damage. Sadly, Applegate does go down, but with a noble sacrifice. Adrian comes in to try to finish it off, but misses, letting Kingdra get off its obnoxious Resto Chesto strategy, healing it to full and waking it from its sleep. So here begins the long back and forth of Leech Seed chip, strength misses, rests, on and on and on and on, but eventually on her last strength PP, Adrian pulls through and finally takes down the Kingdra, earning us our 8th and final gym badge, which did come at a cost, yet again, this one I was okay with as it was not in vain. So we gather our strongest Pokemon, and some others that we need to traverse the stupid overworld HM requirements. God, I'm glad they got rid of those in the newer gens. But one last hurdle lies ahead of us, Victory Road, where I accidentally run into Wally. I knew he was in here, but I forgot he was like, here. Our team is underleveled and not optimized for this battle, but we have to give it our best shot. Altaria can be terrifying in its own right, and it sets up 2 Dragon Dances, putting it at +2 attack and speed. But unlike Winona's Altaria, this one doesn't have Earthquake, which means Phantom is more or less free to just come in, tank a Quad Resistant Aerial Ace, and finish it off with a few Thunderbolts. Delcatty is laughably bad and goes down instantly, so Wally sends in Magneton for a mirror match, but this thing has Magnet Pull, which means we can't switch, and that is not good. Thankfully in Gen 3, Thunder Wave still works on electric types, so this does get dangerously close, but Phantom does pull off the W. Roselia is out next, but Patreon just wipes the floor with it, and here comes Gardevoir. It sets up Future Sight, and we go straight for Confuse Ray. Then we switch into Adrian, who gets a clean switch thankfully with Confusion. Gardevoir then sets up a double team before taking a Strength to the yellow, and Adrian tanks the Future Sight. But then Gardevoir just goes for Future Sight again, and Adrian nails the Gardevoir with a crit Strength and defeats Wally. We made it through that unexpected hurdle unscathed. Nothing can stand in our way now, except no, not another random trainer battle. Anything but that, please! Oof, I'm actually gonna switch you. So that thing's probably gonna click Earthquake. It clicked Psychic, okay, that's fine. I use Skill Swap. We'll just double surf it up. We'll Body Slam the Lantern and you will surf, or Strength over here. That was annoying. Thunder... No! I'm so stupid! What am I doing? Why did I just leave a Gyarados in on a freaking Lantern, dude. I was so overconfident and just spamming buttons, and I just lost my Gyarados in Victory Road. Yeah, here is a great example of how streaming a Nuzlocke is way different than just playing one. I was too busy talking to chat and just spamming my way through these random trainers that I left a quad weak Gyarados in against an electric type. So we've lost how many of our best Pokemon to random trainers in this run? But thankfully, we do finally make it to the Pokemon League. And after some last minute preparation, our final team is ready to go at the level of the highest Elite Four members ace. We have the newcomer, Polioni the Exploud, the sleeper, Patreon the Grumpig, All Reliable, Phantom the Magneton, the GOAT himself, TF the Ludicolo, and the late arrival, Caleb the Walrein. And of course, one of our oldest friends, TC the Camerupt. We've come a long way, but it's finally time. The Elite Four. Our first challenge is against the Dark-type Master, Sidney. Phantom leads it off for us since it pretty much walls Might Yenna entirely, which doesn't actually matter since it gets the easy one-shot with Thunderbolt anyway. Then Sidney sends us an absolute gift by sending out Crawdaunt here, which obviously goes down to one T-Bolt as well. And we're off to a good start. Shiftry comes in next, so we switch over to TC, even though that does allow him to get 2 double teams up, but TC doesn't care and blasts it with a flamethrower for yet another one-shot. When Cacturn comes in, it is able to set up a Leech Seed, but you guessed it, another flamethrower one-shot. However, this kind of puts us in a bind. Leech Seed makes it dangerous to stay in, but Absol setting up Swords Dance on our switch is also very risky. So we decide to stay in, he sets up the Swords Dance, and TC pulls through. We successfully one-shot all of Sidney's Pokemon for a fairly anticlimactic first E4 member. But can we keep that momentum going into the next challenge? Phoebe. Her ghost can be annoying with plenty of status moves and a surprising amount of coverage. Polioni gets its first bit of screen time as our lead here, though Phoebe does just waste the first 2 turns using Protect. Too bad we don't have Swords Dance or something to take advantage of it here, but on the 3rd turn we Screech to harshly lower its defense and she lands the Confuse Ray. Sadly, we do hit ourselves and on the next turn Dusclops curses, which means we definitely have to switch Exploud into Phantom. Then Phoebe just sacrifices her Dusclops for another curse. So in comes her ace Dusclops, who has Ice Beam and Earthquake for some reason. Now obvious ground move is obvious, but we don't have a flying type to avoid it, so we send in Ludi, who at least resists. And this is where I start to make a huge mistake. Surf does decent damage and we actually outpace Shadow Ball. So after the Citrus, I think that Surf is in range for the KO, so instead of clicking Giga Drain to try to get some health back, I'm blinded by offense and we didn't play around the crit. So we lose Ludicolo, which is not good considering we're only on the 2nd Elite Four member. Caleb comes in to try to avenge us and actually hits really hard and handles Dusclops pretty easily. She sends in Banette next, who has Thunderbolt, so we see that coming and send in our ground type for the clean switch in. Shadow Ball does about a 3rd and Flamethrower just barely misses the KO, which means after another Shadow Ball, TC is pretty low when it gets the KO, though thankfully we do have our normal type in the back to switch in on the Shadow Ball. Polioni manages to take down the Banette in 2 Earthquakes and the Sableye falls to the same. So we did make it out of that one, but it's looking rough going forward. Ludicolo was our main answer into the champion's water types. But we have to push on through Glacia, and I made another mistake. I forgot to lead with Phantom, which probably would have gotten the one-shot with Thunderbolt. Thankfully, we aren't punished too badly since all she does is set up Hail while we switch into TC, who can get the first KO with a few Earthquakes, but I'm afraid that that small mistake might be the beginning of the end, as it forces us to switch and to make a few risky plays. We obviously can't stay in. It has Surf. I have an idea. So I'm switching here. This is my idea, right? I'm switching here to bait the Body Slam. So now that we're here, it's gonna use Body Slam, either Body Slam or Sheer Cold. So I'm gonna bet that it's going for Body Slam, and I'm gonna use this pivot to move into Magneton. And why would you use Surf on a Walrein? What? Do we outspeed in one shot? Can we even risk it? There's no way we outspeed in one shot. Walrein is so thick. I have an idea. We Confuse Ray? It breaks through. I was gonna Calm Mind, but I was gonna try to get the Confuse Ray off first, so we have to risk the crit here. We have to risk the crit. Okay, well, it's still risking the crit technically because of Calm Mind. Please hit yourself. Use Body Slam, that's physical. We don't have a Chesto Berry, but we have to risk it. We have to risk the wake up. How has it not hit itself, man? Come on, hit yourself. Come on, dude. And it snaps out of confusion. It hits a Body Slam. And we didn't wake up. Oh my gosh. Are we gonna wipe to Glacia? Not even trying to be funny. I should have put a Chesto, you're right. Oh my god, and we get a crit on the switch, dude. And we get a crit on the switch. That does nothing. I think we have to risk. We have to sack something here. I think we have to sack Patreon. You miss? We have to sack. We had to sack it though. There's no. And we wake up and we get a Psychic off at least. This isn't gonna one shot, but at least do some damage. Okay. You miss. You have Citrus. I was gonna say we might actually kill. You need to chip it down with Magneton. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm just gonna have to sack off Patreon here. It's the only way through. It's the only way through. Yep. Sorry, Patreon. Appreciate you. So now Phantom should outspeed. She's probably gonna heal, but we need to bring her down to at least below half health with this Thunderbolt, which we should. Surf's accuracy is 100%. There's no way we're beating this run, guys. I'm just saying. There's no way. I mean, I'm gonna keep going, but there's no way. Wait, was that the Lax Incense that pulled through? Oh my god, you guys are right. It was the Lax Incense that pulled through. Okay, so now we have Glalie. We probably should have sacked off Magneton there, but I really don't want to. Ice Beam's neutral. It does a decent amount of damage with Flamethrower, and it's faster. Of course it's faster, it's a Glalie, it has 80 speed. Please one shot, please one shot, please one shot. Thank you. Alright, we have one more Glalie and it has Explosion. Oh, there's still another Celio. I totally forgot about the other Celio. We can't switch in. We're not gonna one-shot anyway. We're cooked, bro. There's no way we're winning this lead four. We're cooked. We're cooked. We're cooked. We're wiping. Ah! Oh, man! There we go. Yeah, there's absolutely no shot we're beating the Elite Four. With, what, 3 Pokemon left? No shot. Hit the Thunder. Hit the Thunder. Hit the Thunder. Thank you. What a run, bro. I mean, it's my own fault. I forgot the vitamins. We can't switch out anyway. We have to risk it. We're just gonna go Thunderbolt, though, for the accuracy. Nope, doesn't even kill. That's unfortunate. There's no shot we're beating the Elite. No! We survived and the hail brought us down. We're gonna end off this battle in some nice fashion here with a Polioni Hyper Beam. 112 people watching me lose. And you know, that's life. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, that was absolutely a rough end, though it's not over. We still have 2 Pokemon. Oh, who am I kidding? They obviously get destroyed by Drake Salamence. But I can't just leave it at that. We're so close to the finish line. I had to run it back. And actually, due to time constraints, I didn't livestream this one, which means no one knows how it finishes. This time around, I was much more careful, only losing 3 Pokemon the whole run. So now I've compiled the best team possible, and we're ready to give it another shot. We've got Ninetales, Breloom, Electrode, the Goat Swampert, Aggron, and Altaria.
Sidney wasn't much more than a speed bump last time around, so I'm confident heading into this one. This Mightyena really isn't much of a threat to any of our Pokemon other than apparently sand attacking and surviving on the red over and over, but eventually it just takes itself out with Double Edge Recoil. Then Shiftry comes in, but its only attacking move is special, so we set up another Light Screen and Shiftry double teams. Oh Shiftry, we have an answer for your silly evasiveness strategy. We have Altaria, who not only has Aerial Ace, but also Dragon Dance. So you go ahead and lead this dance with Double Team, and we'll follow right along with Dragon Dance all the way up to +3 attack and speed before you hit us with Torment. Which means the following Aerial Ace is an easy one-shot, and the incoming Frail Absol doesn't stand a chance against the +3 Earthquake, and neither do the following Cacturn or Crawdon. So we easily take down poor old Sidney. So now we get to take our revenge on Phoebe for tipping the first domino in our prior disaster. Aggron takes point this time and makes short work of the first Dusclops with 2 Iron Tails, and just like last time, she immediately goes to her ace who has Earthquake and Ice Beam. But this time around we send in the best Pokemon for a Hoenn playthrough, Swampert, who just eats an Earthquake for breakfast and returns in kind, doing much more damage. After the Citrus, Dusclops can survive another, so Swampert does take some damage before eventually securing the KO. Banette really shouldn't be able to do much, so we stay in and launch an Earthquake, which just barely misses the one shot, so Swampert does get taken deep into the yellow, but can finish it off with a Surf. Though I don't want to risk it here, so we do switch into Altaria on the double team, but we know this game. If you're gonna dance, so are we. Altaria sets up 2 Dragon Dances, taking some damage in the process, but does secure the knockout with Aerial Ace. Banette does have Thunderbolt though, so we switch into Ninetales trying to play it safe, and sadly take some decent damage from the Shadow Ball instead. Ninetales fires off a Flamethrower and just barely misses the one shot, but it gets the burn, which means it survives the next Shadow Ball, and the residual damage takes out Banette and defeats Phoebe deathless. Oh, revenge is sweet. I want more. Glacia is in our sights, the one who basically ended it all. Though this time we're paying attention to who we lead off with. Boy, just playing a Nuzlocke is so much easier than streaming it. But anyway, Breloom just instantly crushes Celio with a single Brick Break before it can move, and oh, she must be a glutton for punishment. She sends out her second Celio to meet the exact same fate. Now with Wall Rain, I don't know if I exactly trust Breloom's power to get the one shot on this one, and we're 100% seeing an Ice Beam here, so I play it safe and switch into Ninetales, which now will bait a Surf, so we switch into Electrode, who takes it fairly well and can set up a Light Screen before taking an Ice Beam to the yellow. Thunderbolt does massive damage, and she returns with Body Slam, and static procs, we get the Para. Then her Citrus Berry takes her out of healing range, so the next Thunderbolt gets the knockout. Only her 2 Glalie remain. This one's attacks are all special, so we switch into Ninetales on the incoming Icy Wind. Sadly, we are slower now, so she can set up a Light Screen, allowing her to survive one Flamethrower, but her efforts are futile and Glalie goes down. Her last Glalie, however, has Explosion. I contemplate switching into Aggron, but Ice Beam would do decent damage here, so we decide to stay in and trust the Ninetales. But she just sets up Hail for some reason, so Flamethrower brings it to the yellow, and then on the next turn, oh thank god, no Explosion. Wait, it got the Freeze? You got to be kidding me. Oh well, we send in Swampert as she full restores, but Swampert is the GOAT and takes down Glalie in 2 Earthquakes. We've defeated Glacia and redeemed ourselves. We have completed our revenge. Okay, well I guess technically Drake ended our run, but there's no hard feelings there. You're cool, Drake. His team of dragons is absolutely no joke, but like I've been saying, we have the GOAT on our team. We'll be fine. I know that he likes to lead Protect with Shelgon, but we don't actually have anything to take advantage of that, so we'll just wait until the second turn. Okay, we'll just wait until the third turn to fire off Ice Beam, which gets the first clean one-shot of the battle. Then Drake, I don't know if he's just dumb like Sidney and Glacia, or if he's cocky, thinking his Altaria is gonna set up on us, but it doesn't, and it obviously goes down to a single quad effective Ice Beam. Kingdra, on the other hand, can be terrifying. Thankfully, this one doesn't have double team shenanigans, but it does have Dragon Dance. Though luckily, Earthquake does a little bit over half, so after a weak Surf, another Earthquake brings down the Kingdra without issue. Oh, a Flygon? Another quad weak Ice Dragon? How nice of you! Though it does kind of suck that Swampert has to take some damage there, because now that leaves it weak in the face of Salamence, Drake's ace, and pseudo-legendary Pokemon, who will almost certainly outspeed and take down our starter. Oh, okay, come on, do it for the content.
And Swampert survives the Dragon Claw, which means Ice Beam gets the KO and we've defeated Drake with nothing but our goat, Swampert. So now we're on to truly uncharted territory in this run. This may be our second attempt, but I'm feeling as excited as ever. We have the chance to be the champions of Hoenn. Wallace the Pretender is all that stands in our way. Electrode comes out first here, and both Light Screen and Toxic have their uses against Wailord, but I'm terrified of Water Spout, so I immediately go for Thunderbolt, which doesn't quite get the one shot, and Wailord just sets up the rain. Boy, I wish I had Thunder. He of course heals, so we just send off another T-Bolt, bringing Wailord back into the red. Then on the next turn, he has the audacity to make a read and switch into the ground type Whiscash, and well, obvious ground move is obvious, so here's my flying type. Oh no, he read me again and set up Amnesia. Well, we know this game. Start dancing, Altaria. We get all the way to +6 attack and speed while being taken into the yellow, so on the next turn we fire off a massive Earthquake, which it survives somehow. That's actually insane, but it doesn't matter as it goes down to the next Aerial Ace, as does the incoming Wailord. Tentacruel then gets crushed by a critical hit +6 Earthquake, and Milotic might actually survive this one as it is very bulky, but we risk it for the biscuit. And Altaria gets it done. Finally, Wallace makes the smart play and sends in Gyarados with Intimidate, forcing us to switch into Electrode. Then he hilariously misses and Electrode fries the overgrown shrimp with a Thunderbolt, leaving Wallace with only one Pokemon remaining. Ludicolo can be really tricky and difficult, so we make sure to set up Toxic immediately, and then Ludicolo does what Ludicolo does, and it double teams. We don't want to risk the miss, so we send in Altaria on the Resisted Surf, land an Aerial Ace, bring down Ludicolo, and defeat Champion Wallace, which means we've done it. We've completed an Emerald Nuzlocke. Sure, it may not be the craziest challenge out there, but it was so much fun to just come back to the basics and enjoy it. Be sure to check if you're subscribed and comment who the GOAT of this run was down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.